What's going on? GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 15th episode of The Walking Dead Trust. I'm in a different setup, but I have people over, so I kind of wanted to just go in a separate room, and yeah, here we go. So, in this episode of The Walking Dead, Lance all but sighed, good help is so hard to find. But by the end of the episode, he'd managed to put out a job offer to a potential recruit who promised to be a living nightmare for Daryl, Maggie, and company. Who will that be? Well, we're going to find out this episode. Saving him a bullet. So as Trust began, Lance, Daryl, and a bunch of troopers had arrived at the site of Carlson's last stand. Gabriel and Aaron swore that, crossed their hearts, and hoped to live. The apartment dwellers had killed everyone but them and then fled. Though skeptical as hell, and understandably so, Lance didn't push them off the roof right then and there, but continued his search for the killers and his missing weapons. Stop number 1, Hilltop, where Daryl had to intervene to keep Lance from shooting his way in when Maggie refused to throw open the gate. Once inside, Lance went so far as to attempt to scare a confession out of Herschel, whose cap he'd found at the apartment complex. It did not go well for Lance. Safe to say, he caused some commotion in the community, obviously. Being too forceful. It's kind of like his nature, and I'm being quiet because my family's around and they annoy me a lot, so there you have it. Elijah immediately leapt to the boys' defense, and soon Maggie and her peeps were in a standoff with the troopers that was one itchy trigger finger away from becoming a massacre. Things got so tense, in fact, that Daryl was moved to threaten Hornsby, go against his own leader. His quarterly review is going to be terrible, but in the end, the villain ordered his men to stand down and moved on. So, yeah, at least we know that the Hilltop can be left alone by the Commonwealth, so, yeah. And that very night, they discovered a tent in the woods. Near it, they're missing guns. They finally find, the guns that they had on the convoy that they were looking for so long. They thought the Hilltop people did it. They thought a lot of other people did it, but it turned out to be one person, and the person that was revealed last episode. As quickly as the troopers discovered that the tent was empty, shots rang out and Lance began yelling that its occupant had really inconvenienced him and owed him to at the very least, talk. Since this is a TV show, his ploy worked, and out of the shadows came Leah, despite knowing the woods were full of troopers. I'm here, Lance told her, to offer you a job and to possibly, make her a part of the Commonwealth, make her, a big part of the community, I guess. If it involves eliminating his new archenemy Maggie, who you'll recall killing Lee's Reaper pals in cold blood, I have a feeling she'll be filling out a W-9 by next week. So, yeah, we can get on to a different storyline. She might be joining the Commonwealth. I think that's a really interesting kind of revelation we have with this show. And then we get to the Mercer situation where he's saying, he's just a soldier. In other developments, Princess, these days waking up in Mercer's bed, which is kind of crazy to think still that they're in a relationship, pushed her boo to open up about what was troubling him. He seems like a very troubled guy at the moment. She can kind of tell. She's talked about some real shit. Yeah, she seems like a very fun person, and she likes to talk about fun things, but she says, she tells me, I have a sensitive side too. So, yeah. In response, he shut her down and shut her out, because he doesn't really want to reveal some of these things are super personal and whatnot. At the same time, Eugene and Rosita were filling in Connie and Kelly on Sebastian's sick money-making scheme. Obviously, he's a part of the higher-ups. He's a part of the rich people in the community. It was a great story, but Connie couldn't report on it without inside access and stolen documents, which would be illegal. And obviously, people around them wouldn't let them do that. Unfortunately, Eugene soon discovered that Max was terrified to be his mole. She might not have been swayed at all had she not learned that her brother had been present and in danger thanks to Sebastian's fundraising. But making a beeline for Mercer, she challenged him to upset the status quo and help make the Commonwealth better than it was. Sometimes you have to go out of your comfort zone to kind of make this a better place. That sort of idea. By going after Sebastian, what if I disappear, he asked. Who keeps this place running? He's a really big backbone. He's really protective over the Commonwealth. He has too much pride to really, want to put his life at risk for this community. Valid questions. He was still turning them over in his head when he apologized to Princess for climbing up on her and confessed not only that he'd shot 2 of his men, but would do it again. and he's like telling her the truth. They're starting to form a relationship. That's like the best sign you could have of a growing relationship, is that they're being confessional. Elsewhere, Max agreed to do Eugene's bidding. She'd hoped things would go back to normal, but I'd realized that there is no back to normal. We know what we know. Because of that, things have to change, and they have to, not go back to normal necessarily, but like switch things around to make things go smoothly. Whatever came their way, Eugene promised she wouldn't have to face it alone. He even sealed his vow with a kiss, so maybe that relationship wasn't a joke. It wasn't like a over-the-radio type of thing. Maybe it might be serious. Now we get to like the Ezekiel thing, kind of his schemes going on in the Commonwealth. When Ezekiel bumped into Carol, he reported that he was recovering nicely and had a good prognosis. He also owed her a thank you, given his initial reaction to her intervention on his behalf. Like, he kind of freaked out about what she did, but now he's like really thankful because he can like repay the favor. Could he show her what he'd been doing with the extra time that she'd bought him? Not today, she said. She was busy with her new job, sorry. From there, Ezekiel convinced Tommy to come with him to perform an appendectomy on a friend who needed the operation but didn't want to put her family in debt, which is pretty much like removing a certain appendix. That's like causing arthritis. I'm pretty sure that's what procedure is. Sound familiar? Alas, they hadn't even made it so far as the hospital exit before they were busted by a trooper, who then called in Carol, who got them out of hot water. And I'm not really sure why they got in trouble right away. I guess I assumed they were up to no good with these bags in their hands. They might have found the stuff. I don't know. Turned out, Ezekiel and Nurse Leo had started a free clinic in the veterinarian treatment area of the stables. Because that's like the best way to hide medical supplies. No one would think of anything. Think of it. While Tommy tended to the patient, Ezekiel told his ex that it was important to me that my friend know just how much I appreciate her. And she didn't do this for no reason. Noting how troubled she seemed, he tried to point out how much light she brought into the world. Yeah, okay. We're not getting back together, right? She quipped. Even though they totally should. I mean, that would make sense for the show. Oh, and if you were wondering, despite the fact that the patient's appendix ruptured and Ezekiel and Carol were pressed into service as nurses, the operation appeared to be a success. So, yeah, this is an interesting one. Which Lance is scarier or creepier? Lance all smiling and pretending to be nice, or Lance with the dead face and eyes burning with bloodlust? That's the major character, really, of season 11. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. That's like the big talking point for this show at this point, and sorry, I'm being repetitive. Hopefully you guys like the review. I know it's not the best we could do, but with the circumstances, I mean, yeah. And here in a couple hours, I will be streaming on Twitch. I am getting a PC soon. Here in almost 3 weeks or so, I'll probably have a PC, and we'll be doing a bunch of 2K stuff. I still have to pre-order that game. I will get to that very soon, but new music stuff tomorrow. We watched Dexter today. I just have to talk about a Black Mirror episode up next. So leave a like, comment, subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV, giving you guys the best TV show, movie content there is out there. So yeah, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the content lately. I know we've been growing quite a bit. This is the best my channel has looked in quite some time, so I'm pretty happy about it. A lot of you guys are watching my movie reviews, and I really appreciate anyone that's doing that. So have a good rest of your day. I am